It was a crisp autumn evening when Nathaniel Walker stood on the balcony of his hotel, gazing out at the soft glow of the city lights. His family had owned the charming boutique hotel for generations, a place known for its quiet elegance and impeccable service. Yet lately, Nathaniel had found himself feeling a little distant from the legacy that had once been his passion. The hotel business, which had been so fulfilling in his younger years, had become a responsibility, a task he felt was slowly slipping through his fingers. As he turned back to head inside, he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. He smiled, recognizing the light tapping of heels on the marble floor, a sound that had become all too familiar recently. The girl who appeared in the doorway was no stranger to the hotel. Her name was Emma, and she had arrived a month earlier, just when the hotel had been struggling with a dip in guest numbers. Emma had been hired as an event coordinator, someone to help bring in fresh energy to the aging establishment. From the first moment they met, Nathaniel had been taken by her. She was kind, with a quiet grace that seemed to fill every room she entered. There was something about her that was both calming and exciting at the same time, and it was hard for Nathaniel to not be captivated by her presence. Emma, with her soft, wavy hair and eyes full of wonder, had an effortless way of making things happen. The hotel had been slowly regaining its charm thanks to her tireless work. She had orchestrated a few events that breathed new life into the place, bringing in guests who were eager for the kind of warmth and care the hotel was known for. She'd been a blessing in disguise. Tonight, she was here to discuss the final details for a wedding that was scheduled for the weekend. She had a radiant smile on her face as she entered his office, her presence filling the room with a contagious sense of joy. "Nathaniel, I think I've got the perfect floral arrangement," she said, excitement in her voice. "I spoke with the bride, and she's absolutely in love with the idea. We're all set for the big day." Nathaniel nodded, admiring her enthusiasm. "I knew I could count on you to make everything perfect." Her smile softened as she looked at him, and for a moment, the noise of the outside world seemed to fade away. There was a quiet understanding between them, one that had developed over the weeks they had worked together. Nathaniel had come to respect Emma, not only for her work ethic, but for the way she carried herself with such grace. She wasn't just a brilliant event coordinator. She was a woman who had a rare ability to make people feel seen, heard, and valued. "Thank you," Emma said, her voice gentle. "You've been great too. It's not easy running a hotel, but you make it look effortless." Nathaniel chuckled, though there was a hint of weariness in his eyes. "It hasn't felt effortless lately. I guess I'm just lucky to have someone like you here to keep everything running smoothly." She took a step closer, her gaze softening. There was something almost magnetic about the way they stood together, as if the world around them had fallen away, leaving only the quiet understanding between them. "You know, Nathaniel," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "you've created something special here. It's not just the building or the staff. It's the way you make everyone feel welcome. I think that's what people love most about this place." He met her gaze, his heart skipping a beat. In that moment, something shifted. He realized that she wasn't just speaking about the hotel. She was speaking about him. Emma saw him, the real him, not just a hotel owner, not just a man burdened with legacy, but the person he had always hoped someone would notice. "You've brought that warmth back," Nathaniel said, his voice low. "I don't think I've said it enough, but I'm really grateful for you, Emma." Her eyes flickered with surprise, but the warmth in them only grew. "I'm just doing my job," she replied, but there was a soft blush creeping up her neck, a sign that his words had touched her more than she let on. For a long moment, they stood there, simply looking at each other, as if the world outside had stopped spinning. Nathaniel felt a pull in his chest, a feeling that had been growing stronger each day he spent with Emma. It was something he hadn't felt in years, and he knew then that his feelings for her went far beyond admiration. He stepped a little closer, their proximity no longer just professional. "Emma," he began, his voice barely above a whisper, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you." She tilted her head slightly, her expression both curious and cautious. "What is it?" Nathaniel hesitated for just a moment before speaking from his heart. I think I'm falling for you, and I don't want to ignore it anymore. You mean more to me than I've let on, and I just wanted you to know. The words hung in the air, and for a brief second, Emma's eyes widened with surprise. But then, her lips curved into a smile that made his heart flutter. I thought I was the only one, she whispered, stepping closer to him. Nathaniel's breath caught in his chest, and without thinking he reached out, his hand gently brushing hers. It felt like the most natural thing in the world, the way they moved toward each other. I never wanted to make things complicated, Nathaniel said, his voice almost a breath, but I can't keep pretending like there's nothing more between us. Emma looked up at him, her gaze soft but unwavering. I feel the same way, she said. I've been trying to ignore it, but I think you're someone really special, Nathaniel. And in that moment, everything fell into place. The weight that had been on Nathaniel's shoulders for so long seemed to lift, as if the hotel itself had allowed room for this new chapter of his life to begin. Without another word, Nathaniel leaned down, closing the space between them. Emma's lips met his in a kiss that felt like home, warm, tender, and full of possibility. It was a moment of release, of understanding that they had both been waiting for. As they pulled apart, Emma rested her forehead against his, and for the first time in a long while, Nathaniel felt peace. The hotel no longer felt like a duty. It felt like the beginning of something new, something beautiful that was just starting to unfold. Together, they would build not only a future for the hotel, but a future together, one filled with love, laughter, and endless possibility. And as they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, they both knew that this was just the beginning of their story. The days that followed were a whirlwind of newfound emotions for both Nathaniel and Emma. They had always shared a professional connection, but now that they were no longer holding back their feelings, everything felt different, more vibrant, more alive. They spent their time together not just working on the hotel, but finding quiet moments to explore the bond they were nurturing. Every morning, as Nathaniel walked through the hotel, he couldn't help but smile. The atmosphere felt lighter, warmer, almost as if the entire place was reflecting the joy that was blooming in his heart. The staff noticed, too, the way he seemed more energized, more present. There was a new sense of purpose in his steps, and Emma was often by his side, her bright eyes always looking ahead with a plan, but her gentle demeanor making him feel like everything was right. They began to steal moments here and there in the quiet corners of the hotel. On breaks, they would find themselves on the rooftop, sharing coffee and talking about everything and nothing, dreams, fears, childhood memories, and what the future could hold. Nathaniel found himself opening up in ways he hadn't in years. Emma had a way of making him feel safe, making him believe that no matter how complicated life had become, there was always room for something simple and beautiful, like love. One afternoon, as autumn began to turn into winter, Emma suggested they take a walk through the nearby park. Nathaniel, always eager to spend time with her, agreed immediately. The day was crisp and the leaves had begun to fall, coating the ground with shades of gold and amber. They walked in comfortable silence, the only sound the crunch of leaves beneath their feet. I can't believe we're already planning the winter gala, Emma said, breaking the silence as she gently pulled her scarf tighter around her neck. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about the spring events. Nathaniel laughed, a deep, genuine sound. Time really does fly, doesn't it? And I can honestly say I'm glad it's flown with you by my side. Emma smiled, her heart fluttering at his words. It's been such a joy working together. There was a brief pause as they continued their walk, and Nathaniel took her hand in his. He hadn't meant to, but the gesture felt natural. Emma squeezed his hand back, her fingers warm against his. Emma, he began, his voice steady, I've been thinking. I know we've only just started something special between us, but I can't imagine my life without you in it. This hotel, it's a big part of my world. But you've become the most important part of my life. Her heart skipped a beat as she stopped walking, turning to face him. The honesty in his voice made her breath catch in her throat. "Nathaniel, she began, but he gently placed a finger on her lips, silencing her. The seasons continued to change, and with each passing day, Nathaniel and Emma's bond grew even deeper. Their love had become the foundation of everything they did, both at the hotel and in their personal lives. Together, they transformed the once fading building into a thriving hub of warmth and hospitality. Their love story was now woven into every corner of the hotel, from the elegant lobby to the cozy rooms where guests found peace. One crisp winter evening, as the holiday season was in full swing, Nathaniel invited Emma to join him for a special dinner at the hotel. The restaurant was quiet, the soft glow of candlelight casting a romantic glow over the space. The air smelled of fresh pine and cinnamon, and the faint sound of holiday music drifted through the restaurant. Emma, dressed in a simple but elegant black dress, walked into the room, her heart racing as she saw Nathaniel waiting for her by the fireplace. He looked just as handsome as ever, his eyes shining with an affection that made her feel like the only person in the room. "Hey there," he said with a warm smile, walking toward her. He gently cupped her face in his hands, as if savoring the moment. "I thought we'd have a quiet evening to ourselves," Nathaniel said softly, leading her to the table. "No work, no distractions, just us." Emma couldn't help but smile, her heart swelling with love for him. They had shared so many moments together, but this felt different. The world outside might have been bustling with holiday cheer, but here, in the quiet of the hotel, they had each other. Over dinner, they talked about everything: plans for the future, dreams they hadn't shared with anyone else, and the deep sense of belonging they found in each other. For once, Nathaniel allowed himself to fully relax, to not worry about the weight of the hotel's legacy or the pressure of expectations. With Emma beside him, he knew that everything was going to be okay. As dessert arrived, Nathaniel's hand gently brushed against Emma's. She looked up at him, her eyes full of curiosity. "I've been thinking a lot about us," he began, his voice low, almost a whisper. "About everything we've built together." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She'd always known how much Nathaniel valued the hotel, how important it was to him. But the way he spoke now, there was something deeper behind his words. "I've realized that everything we've created, isn't just about the hotel or the work we've done. It's about what we've built together," Nathaniel continued, his eyes searching hers. "It's about our love. And I can't imagine my life without you in it, Emma. You've made my world brighter in ways I never thought possible." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes, and she couldn't contain the smile that spread across her face. "I feel the same way," she whispered. "You brought so much into my life. I never imagined that us, would happen, but I'm so grateful that it did." Nathaniel took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached into his pocket, his fingers brushing against a small velvet box. With a steady hand, he pulled it out and opened it, revealing a beautiful ring that sparkled in the candlelight. "Emma, will you marry me?" he asked, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I want that too," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I never thought I could find someone like you." They stood there, in the middle of the park, surrounded by the beauty of the changing seasons. It was a simple moment, but to them, it felt like the beginning of everything. Emma's efforts at the hotel were unmatched, and Nathaniel admired her drive. Together, they planned events that not only brought the community together, but also reminded them of the joy in shared experiences. The hotel became a symbol of their love, warm, inviting, and full of life. But life wasn't always easy. The hotel's success continued to grow, and with it came new challenges. One evening, Nathaniel sat at his desk, surrounded by financial reports. The weight of the hotel's future was never far from his mind. Emma entered the room, her eyes filled with concern as she noticed the stress on his face. "Hey," she said softly, walking over to him. "You've been working nonstop. Maybe you need to take a break." Nathaniel looked up, meeting her gaze. I just I want to make sure this place is everything it can be. I don't want to let anyone down." Emma knelt beside him, her hand resting on his. "You don't have to do it alone, Nathaniel. I'm right here with you. We're in this together, every step of the way." His heart swelled as he gazed at her, the weight of his worries lightened by the love he saw in her eyes. "I'm so lucky to have you," he whispered. She smiled, her expression soft and loving. "And I'm lucky to have you, too. We'll figure this out." Together, with Emma by his side, Nathaniel realized that the hotel wasn't just about the legacy of his family. It was about creating something new, a place where love, warmth, and joy were at the core. As the hotel continued to thrive, so did their relationship. They were no longer two people working in the same space. They were partners, building a future together. In the years to come, the hotel would stand as a testament to their love, an enduring symbol of everything they had built, not just for themselves, but for the community they had nurtured. They had found a home not just in the walls of the hotel, but in each other, and that, more than anything, was the greatest gift of all.